Well, occulture is a phenomenon. It has many different meanings. It's on the most basic level, of course, it's a funny, punny way of putting two words together, occult and culture. You get occulture, but it has come to mean more than just that. It's now a thing, it's a phenomenon, it's something that is studied, something that is looked at, speculated about, and I've certainly, I hope, contributed my share to that pool of thinking about these things. Occult means hidden, as we know. Occultism is traditionally hidden knowledge, arcane knowledge, used in secret surroundings for either for protection from the outside or because of it being ostracized or stigmatized. What we call the occult is basically a conglomerate of things that are exciting, spiritual things, religious things, proto-magical things, and we all know things like astrology and tarot and ritual magic. All of these things can be collected under the umbrella of the occult. But how does that tie in with culture? Well, we can see specifically during the 20th century and even more so during the beginning of the 21st century is this merger. It's a merging that's going on where previously occult strains are now going into the mainstream and affecting the mainstream culture. That is neither good nor bad, it just is. And I like to look at these things. It stimulates me, and there's a plethora, there's so many things to look at in this sense, and that's why I put together the Occulture book. The unseen forces that drive culture forward. I'm happy with that title because that's basically what it is. There are many things that begin in the dark, so to speak, and then gradually grow and grow and grow, and they seep into the mainstream culture and usually help turn out very interesting phenomenon and changes in culture. In the book is, you could say that it's two main areas. One is an actual historical look at occulture, where these things have merged with culture, looking at historical figures, Aleister Crowley, Rudolf Steiner, Carl Jung, Paul Bowles, Anton LaVey, the Temple of Psychic Youth, like historical insights into phenomena and groups and people who have been instigators in this kind of important change in culture. And the other part is my own closer looking at these things. It sort of touches upon philosophy in a way, looking at things like dreams and approaches to psychology, and how these things are not just fascinating, they're actually essential to our understanding not only ourselves but the culture in general. And if we want to make culture move in a specific direction, then we need to know ourselves better, and we need to understand how these things work, how memes become schemes in a way. So that's the other part of it. So it's an all-encompassing insight into the phenomenon of occulture historically, but also very much what's going on today. I think people should buy the book because it's a fairly new topic. It's been around, sort of buzzing, but no one has really formulated it or put it together in a book like I have, in a kind of an easy to read way. It's not an academic book, but it's not super pop either. It's sort of in between, and I think that people will be stimulated by it. That's the response I've been getting, is that they feel that they start to think about these things that they haven't thought about before. They might have known all these people and phenomena and movements in culture, but they haven't really, connected the dots. And I hope that I can help people connect the dots. And if they don't accept my dots, then at least they will try to connect their own dots. That's my sort of aspiration to have people think about these things, because they're very, very fascinating. So I think they should buy the book, be stimulated, be fascinated, become open-minded, and also think about themselves and their own relationship to the big picture. In a similar way, Reasonances, which was put out by Scarlet Imprint in the UK, is an anthology of lectures and essays and pieces I've written over some time. And I think that it's a form I like very much, because it doesn't become too heavy. It's not like an academic study, but it's not something super lightweight. And especially when you put these things together in book form, it takes on a life of its own. These different chapters may be about very different things, but it becomes some kind of holistic osmosis in a way, and it becomes something that creates one impression instead of several smaller impressions. Resonances was my first endeavor to think about what am I really about? What do I talk about? What am I talking about? And how do I present that to people? Resonances was an eye-opener for me, in the sense that during that editing process I could see myself clearer, and that's even more so with Occulture, and of course coming books that will be sort of put together in a similar way, meaning collections of essays, collections of lectures and talks. I'm working on many books at the same time. I'm wrapping up my second novel, and after that there will be a similar kind of anthology with material from this past year, basically. And I'm also working on kind of a magical autobiography. It's not dealing with my entire life, but it focuses on my occult career in a way. People I've worked with, groups I've worked with, interesting insights into this sometimes quite chaotic and crazy world. But there are a lot of interesting people in that story, people I've met, people I've worked with, and so that's going to be really fun to write it, concoct that thing, and then share it with people. I think it will be enlightening and fun. That's my main thing. It should be enlightening, but it should also be fun.